So today we are talking about investing. Now, I know that's kind of a broad topic and it can be kind of cliche. I'm not really here to go over the cliches. I just know that there are a lot of people who are curious about investing, especially younger folks. There's also a lot of people who have been misled or misinformed or just don't really know what it's about. And honestly, personally, I believe that everyone should be investing. It doesn't matter your age or your occupation. And I'm also not going to be one of those people who tell you that you're going to get rich from investing, right? I'm not here to tell you, oh, like there's this company that's going to triple in value, invest all your money. No, that's not the strategy that I have to investing. And that's not the kind of mindset that I would encourage you to adopt. Now, there's a couple different ways you can invest. There are people who already have money. Obviously, they would invest a certain way. And there's certain expectations you can have depending on how much money you already have to start with. Now, for the most part, I'm talking to the younger guys right now, people my age, people younger, people who are looking kind of to start diversifying and to start building their wealth and kind of start gearing in the right direction. Now, a lot of people have been misled and told that, well, there's many different things they've been misled on. A lot of people believe that, you know, you can actually just sit here and expect to get super wealthy off of like a couple $1,000s invested. And I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that if you don't have a lot of money getting started, which is most people, don't sit here and expect to be wealthy off of investing in the stock market after 10 years. That's not going to be my advice at all. And right off the bat, I'm already going to tell you that, you know, legally I have to tell you, I'm not a licensed financial advisor or anything like that. I'm not any kind of broker. So, you know, make sure you do plenty of your own research outside of this video and don't make any decisions based off of what I say. Like, do your own research and make your own conclusions and make your decisions based off of that. But again, not here to tell you how to get rich off of investing. I think that you should have a different expectation and a different goal, more realistic, but also more beneficial. So instead of investing, expecting to get rich off of it in a short amount of time or looking for a pump and dump or something like that, you should be in the mindset of kind of protecting the money that you're making now, hedging it against inflation and building it just a little bit. So that way someday you can do something with it, right? Like when I started investing, I started with like $5 or $10 a week or something like that as soon as I turned 18. Now, again, I'm not here to tell you that you're going to get wealthy off of investing in the stock market. I don't think that's a very realistic expectation to have. And I think that you can have a more beneficial long-term goal and better strategy overall. Now, what I tell people is if you're a younger guy, especially, you don't have a lot to start out with, don't be expecting to turn a little bit into a ton of money. That's not the idea. That's not the goal. What you should be doing is finding a way. Like if you already have income, right? You're already working a job somewhere, you're sticking back some money, instead of just putting it in the bank or saving it somewhere where it's going to lose value every year due to inflation, you should be investing it, because not only are you able to accumulate it and to have a mission and have an organized way to actually save your money instead of spending it or letting it, you know, get chewed away by inflation, you're also hedging it against inflation. Because I don't know if you know this, but the average return on a stock market portfolio is around 6 to 8% per year, depending on, you know, how you're investing. But on average, you should, you know, be safe somewhere between 6 and 8. And of course, every year it's different. But overall, for the most part, it completely outpaces inflation. So it's a good way to hedge yourself against that. And it's also a good way to actually start building a nest egg that you can someday do something with. Because I mean, yeah, you're not going to, you know, stick back $100 a week into your portfolio and expect to be rich off of that. Like that's probably not going to happen. But I mean, if you do find a way to invest $100 a week or $100 a month or however much, that's a pretty good amount, and that's a good goal to have. So don't be discouraged or don't be made to feel like, you know, there's just no hope for you. No, you just need to adjust your expectations and adjust your strategy. It's not about becoming rich off of your $100 a month. It's about building up a nest egg that you can someday use for something, right? Like me personally, I started investing like $5 or $10 a week when I was 18. I'm 22 now. I'm able to do other things with the money. I'm able to invest it into actual ventures. And I think that that would be a realistic goal for a lot of people. One thing that I've noticed that a lot of people are misled on, that I don't know where they get this information. And there is a lot more people who think this way than you think. There are people who seriously think, you know, if let's say you invest in some company, X company, whatever it is, and you invest $100 in it or however much, and it goes down in value, somehow you end up owing money. There are people who, you know, this might be you. There are people who think that if a stock goes down in value, you all of a sudden owe money. And that's just not how that works. I mean, it's kind of like the old saying that goes, you never lose or make money until you sell, right? It's all on paper. It means you technically, if you buy into a stock and it tanks and you lose basically 100% of your investment, you actually haven't lost any money unless you were to sell it. You could always wait on it to go back up or whatever. But even still, absolute worst case scenario, the company goes to the absolute floor, to the very bottom, and you lose 100% of your investment. You're not owing anybody money. You've just lost that money, which is why people tell you, not to invest in an amount that you wouldn't be comfortable with losing. And not that losing money is really too big of a risk. I mean, it really just depends on how you invest. There are companies out there like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Microsoft or Apple or some of these big companies that, probably aren't going anywhere. You don't really have to worry too much about those. And there's different kinds of strategies. There's different kinds of benefits to investing in certain things. There are ETFs, which are basically kind of like a basket of investments. And, there are companies who pay dividends, which is basically just getting paid to even invest in that company to begin with. And then you can let it compound, kind of like compound interest. And those are pretty lucrative. I love those. Those are always my favorite and my top recommendations. And there's really no excuse to not be investing, to be honest with you. I tell everybody this because there are also people who think that, you have to have a lot of money to get started, or let's say, a stock is worth $50. You have to have $50 to even buy one share. And that's just simply not the reality. I mean, you can literally get started investing with $1. That's what I did when I was 18. I literally deposited $1 to my Robinhood account, and that's how I began my investing journey. So don't let that be your excuse, or don't let that be the reason why you don't invest. If that's, the impression that you're under is that you have to have a lot of money to even get started. You can literally get started with $1. And there's multiple different platforms. I'm not going to tell you that I have a preference. I personally just use Robinhood. It's just the one that I signed up with, and I've never really had any issues with it. But there's also things like Stash. There's other like kind of alternative platforms like Acorns that kind of stick back your money for you. They round up to the next dollar on all of your spending. I don't really have any experience with those apps, but I have heard great things about them. Ultimately, I would just encourage you to do, plenty of research, find what works best for you. There may be different options depending on where you live, but there is going to be a link down in the description. It's going to be a referral link for Robinhood. Now, this isn't just going to be one-sided. I'm not just going to like make money off of it. It's not some sort of paid sponsorship. It's just something they do to where you can refer people, and then when they sign up using your link, you both get free stock. So, I mean, you could, sign up through this link and get started, and you would actually be given free stock through Robinhood. I don't know how much. I think there's a range, and it's not really guaranteed. You might make more off of it than I do. I don't know. But I figured that would be the best way to get started, and it's just one way that you can go ahead and get a little bit of a jump start. But if not, that's all good. You don't have to use that link. You can, again, sign up using any of those other platforms. They're all pretty similar. And it's pretty easy to get started. I mean, you just have to be 18, at least here in the US. I'm sure it could be different other places. You have to provide, your social security number, your driver's license, things like that. And I know that could sound kind of sketch, but just know that, that's just the standard no matter where you go. It doesn't matter what app you use, or even if you go to a real investment broker in real life, you have to provide this information because it's on a federal level. Obviously, I would definitely heavily recommend everyone watching this, if you haven't already, to begin investing. And there's really no reason not to. I can't think of a single reason to not start investing, because if you put your money in the bank, you're losing at least 2% of it a year to inflation. I mean, I know people think that when you put your money in the bank, you get interest off of it, and I mean you do, but it is extremely low. I believe it is 0.1% interest in most banks, which is awful. I don't know how anyone even thinks that's a good idea. That means if you invest $100, you get 10 cents back. You get 10 cents in interest every single year. That's awful in my opinion, considering you could get 6 to 8%, which is 600 to 800 times better than what you would get at the bank. And it doesn't really cost you any extra. Again, my Robinhood referral link is in the description below if you want to do that. If not, no worries. There's plenty of other platforms, or maybe one that works better for you, or maybe if you're in a different region, it's not even available, whatever. But I would definitely encourage you to check that out just in case, because, everyone can use some free stock. And if you're interested in more content just like this, I would heavily encourage you to follow me over on here. I also post more kind of short form day-to-day content over on my other platforms like Instagram and Snapchat and X at It's Kirk Duke. I'm pretty easy to find everywhere, and I post pretty consistently. So again, I appreciate you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.